Hey boating enthusiasts, this is Jim Self here on behalf of Engineered Marine Products. In this episode of In Jim's Garage, we're on the road in Alabaster, Alabama, here at the EMP headquarters, and we're going to go inside and check out some growing issues with counterfeit parts. I think everyone knows it's common for unscrupulous companies to make counterfeit copies of high-end luxury items. But did you know it also happens for marine engine parts? It's come to our attention that at least one Chinese company has copied our original EMP-designed VRO replacement fuel pump. What's most concerning is they're selling these parts where their company logo is right in the casting. And to make matters even worse, they're of inferior quality, using questionable materials that could put your safety at risk. If you read the reviews of many of these items online, it's common that they leak right out of the box and do not function properly. I'm going to go over a couple of samples that I purchased from two of the largest internet retail sales platforms to show you what to look for to make sure you're not buying a counterfeit part. Besides the obvious packaging, there are 8 key features that will help you identify the genuine EMP part versus the counterfeits and copies. Number 1 is the die-cast aluminum body with relief hole. The EMP part has a nice clean casting with a relief hole here in the front of the body. The counterfeit parts, a lot rougher castings. This one has some blackish tint to it. Even though it has the EMP logo in it, it's missing the relief hole, and this is a counterfeit. Going on to the next piece, which is a copy. A little bit cleaner casting, but still very distinct parting lines in the middle of the body, and again, missing the relief hole. Number 2, the appearance of the black plastic bodies. The EMP is of obvious higher quality. It's a little cleaner, it's a little shinier, and more ethanol resistant materials. The counterfeit is very distinct separation line here with a lot of flashing on it, and same thing with copy number 2. The third point is the gasket material. Underneath the outer plate, EMP uses a reddish pink micropore technology gasket material, which is highly resistant to ethanol fuels. The counterfeits and the copies are using materials of unknown origin and unlikely to be as ethanol resistant. Most commonly used materials are not as ethanol resistant as what the materials that's found on the EMP pump. Number 4, screws that hold the outer plates on. The EMP outer plate screws are flathead stainless steel screws. The screws on the counterfeit and the copies are of Phillips head. And also, if you look at the pump cover screw, the slot is very poorly cut. It looks like a screwdriver actually slipped in these and had messed it up before it was assembled. Another important feature is the fuel line. EMP uses a fuel-rated hose that is highly ethanol resistant. The counterfeit parts are using a ungraded hose, which is suspect and could very well be vulnerable to deterioration with ethanol fuels. Quality of the brass barbs. If you look at ours, they're very nice and clean, very high quality. This particular pump, the counterfeit piece, you can see the hole is way off center here, leaving a very thin wall on one side. This one comes with caps on them. And again, they look like they're okay. We've started to do some disassembly here to compare some of the inside components. One of the first noticeable things, this is the original EMP fuel pump. If you look at the O-ring in there, it fits well, it's nice and tight. It's not overly compressed. The O-ring on the pump body here, again, is in good condition. It's not flattened out. If you look at this counterfeit part, you can see the O-ring does not fit well in the groove. It's already started pulling out. And the O-ring on the pump body here is flattened and did not retain its shape, which means this is most likely going to leak. Copy number 2 here. Similar thing, the O-ring is pulling out of the groove slightly, which means it's probably a little undersized. And again, the O-ring on the pump body is completely flattened out. In the next step of the teardown here, we've separated the pump bodies. This is the genuine EMP part. You can see here the gaskets come off nice and clean with the anti-stick coating on them. The diaphragm still looks in very good shape. You can see here the diaphragm springs and cup. The cup here is to protect the diaphragm from damage from the springs. There's also a noticeable difference in the tension on the springs of the EMP versus the counterfeit and the copies. You'll also notice the length of the screws are a little longer than they are on the competitors. Moving over here to the counterfeit part, very distinct differences. If you look at the casting here, you can see whatever finish they put on here. It's rough inside. That's most likely going to be dissolved with ethanol fuels. The diaphragm material here has a kind of a tacky feel to it. Matter of fact, this reinforcement here actually stuck to the diaphragm material. The gaskets don't release without tearing from the wear plates. And then moving on over to the other copy, similar situation, a distinct difference in the quality and the materials used here on the diaphragm. You can see how the springs left a deep impression in the diaphragm materials on both of these pumps. Again, there's also a difference in the spring tension on these versus the original EMP. Then the gasket's actually stuck on here and wouldn't peel off without tearing. And that's the case with both the green material here and the gray material. This finish also, I'm not sure if that would withstand ethanol fuels. Any finishes inside of that, outside of the metal, can tend to deteriorate and get into your fuel system and cause issues. So now that you can identify the counterfeit part versus the original EMP part, there's also a matter of warranty. Buying parts from a foreign internet retailer may be cheaper, but it's very risky. They don't stand behind their products with any kind of enforceable warranty, and there's no recourse. You're just out if the product doesn't function. Buying from a reputable seller, backed by a US-based company, provides you with protection against faulty product and, more importantly, safety concerns. At EMP, we proudly back all of our products with a 2-year warranty, and if it's installed by a professional marine dealer, we cover the cost of labor if it fails from a manufacturing defect. So don't take any chances, buy genuine EMP products, and enjoy your boating season. Thanks for watching.